Hi everyone, it's Lisa with Sabbath Seekers. So, I seem to be going through another series or phase where I am having dreams again. I like to bring them forth uh, for you because I think that there's a lot of things that can be shown in dreams. The Bible tells us that we will have dreams and see visions, and this is for our day too. And so, I just wanted to bring those forth to you on October 23rd. Wednesday, I awoke and I was with another woman, and we were looking at her land that she had purchased. And there was a well off to the right with a yellow cap on it. I thought it was a tap or a cap. I wasn't sure, but it had a yellow cap on it. And as I was looking at her land and her cap on her well, all of a sudden these other wells started appearing on her property one by one, and they too had yellow caps on them. They look like hats, something you would just put over the mouth of the well to protect it from debris getting in. That's what I imagined. I don't know a lot about wells, but as this was going on, more and more wells were appearing to where they ended up covering her land. I knew something was wrong with this, but I didn't know what it was. Inside of this dream, I had a memory of something that actually took place in my life in 2013, and it was brought to my memory during this dream. So I think it has a lot of significance in the meaning of the dream. So while I'm seeing all these wells pop up on her property with yellow caps or hats on them, I went back in and was shown a memory of what took place in my life in 2013 with another friend of mine. She and I went over to a friend of hers to help with a garage sale because this woman had cancer and was in a chair, and she could not, she wanted to have a garage sale, but she could not put everything out and price it and clean up. So she and I went over there to help this woman. After we got everything set up and priced and everything, we all sat down to talk. The woman began to tell me that that everyone on her street, she had cancer, but that also everyone on her street had cancer. And she said that she had a well. But I began to think, well, there's a reason that everybody on the street has cancer. I wonder if it's coming from the water. So my thought was, I go back to the dream that I woke with. My thought was the soil and the water, they've been contaminated. Then my memory went back to, the dreams that I was having about North Carolina, where I was up in the air and I saw the waterway in between the mountains, and I thought the water's been contaminated. This is something I shared with you maybe a week or two ago. I don't remember the date of that dream, but I shared it with you guys. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the dream switched. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Deb and my friend Deb, and this like 2 or 3 year old boy was standing on this patio of this home on the back side of a house. I didn't recognize the house, but I was standing inside the back doorway, but I was in the house talking to them through the doorway. It was a pretty day when all of a sudden, and I mean suddenly, a storm blew in. The sky grew black so fast, and the wind grew and just came in so fiercely. The only thing I had time to do after being stunned about looking upon it was say, "Get in the house." Well, just as I said that, and I went to reach for, I didn't even have time to take a step forward to reach for the boy. The wind blew them off the porch. Now they were okay, but I didn't know it at the time, and I just crouched down and I think we were all in shock. They ended up coming back in through the back door there, and everyone's face, it was in utter shock. I remember that child, the look on his face. He was just in shock. No one could say anything, and the dream ended. These storms have been so fierce and so sudden that I think this dream is just showing the time that you don't even have time to prepare. They come so suddenly. And the well part of this dream, I think about the things that I was shown in dreams concerning just North Carolina, the mountains and the people who were bringing in dye and then later finding out that the dye is used in mining. It's you'd have to research it, to find out how it's used and everything. But I mean, these things contaminate all the blast and the chemicals they use in mining, and then the dyes used in the mining process. These are contaminants and poisoning that get into the soil and get into the water supply. And so I just think we're being shown something with all this, and I'm trying to put it all together, and I'm praying about it, and you take it to prayer and give me your thoughts. The next dream that I have that I wanted to share with you was from this morning. I awoke to record 4 phases of this dream. I heard and saw the name Thomas Jefferson several times. I saw the date of February 14th and 17. I don't know what year it was. I have no idea. I just know I couldn't see the year. I was trying to make out the year because it was in the dream, but I could not make out the year. It was February 14th and 17 was the numbers I saw. Now, seeing Thomas Jefferson, I wondered why I was seeing his name, but we'll get into that in a minute. The second part of the dream, there was a flood of water up to my chest. We all lost our belongings, but we were okay. I was at a table then after everything passed, and we were sitting at like a long table or a picnic table outside, and we were assessing all the things that we were doing. We were helping people in other areas. I was, someone had asked, remember sitting at the table, and someone who was standing said, "Hey, didn't you lose everything in the floods too?" And I said, "Yes, but what they lost was much worse. What they've lost is much worse." So I had floodwaters in the dream. Apparently the floodwaters were up to my chest, and we lost everything, all our personal stuff. But apparently what happened in this other place that we were helping or trying to, assist and help, they had it much, much worse. So, that might come into conversation or thoughts as I'm talking about. I looked at where Thomas Jefferson was from at Charlottesville, Virginia, which is just north of me. So the third part of the dream was there was an Asian woman with me, and we had been working, assisting, but in order to get housing and rest, we had to go down to my mom's. My mom is just south of me. So think about where we are. My mom is south of me in South Carolina. I'm in North Carolina, and Charlottesville, Virginia, home of Thomas Jefferson, is just above north of me. So I'm wondering if it was speaking of the region, and if it has 2 different meanings, and I'll get to that in just a second. The third part of the dream, was an Asian man who was being directed by some sort of court or authority. And this person had told him that he was being forced to pay for the injection, or he would face hard labor in prison. Now, in this dream, I couldn't converse with him. I was more in the spirit in this third part of the dream. And I wanted to tell him so much, don't pay for this injection. Go ahead and face the prison with hard labor, because remember Paul and Silas. Remember Peter. Remember to keep your faith and keep your eyes on Jesus, that the Lord will free you. That you don't have to give up hope. And I knew this in the thing that he had to pay for this inject was going to cause his death. It was like it would terminate his life. So but I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't get through to him, nor could he me. He was just contemplating his decision, and all of a sudden I heard this man. It sounded like, I didn't know if it was him or if it was another man. I knew that it was a man's voice because it was so deep. This person was singing, and I remember him singing, And it sounded like this. He sang, I had a dream that the war ends soon. When will it end? When will it end? And so he had a dream that the war ends soon. When will it end? When will it end? And he was singing. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section on this. And also, I wanted to tell you a few things about Thomas Jefferson and see how you think that this might be relating to this dream. I looked up information after I woke about Thomas Jefferson. He was the third president of the United States. He fought in his history for legislation that would result in slavery, abolishing slavery. In 1778, he drafted in Virginia a law that prohibited the importation of enslaved Africans. In 1784, he proposed an ordinance that would ban slavery in the Northwest Territories. Now, while Thomas Jefferson spoke out against slavery and considered it, quote, moral depravity, he did not actively fight for its complete abolishing, yet he continued owning 600 slaves throughout his life. One of them being his half-sister to his wife, who was also his mistress, I believe. He had 4 children with her. So he had 5 children with his wife and then 4 children with his slave, or 6 children, with his wife and 4 with his slave, because he had 10 altogether. Now, my question is, do we see these qualities in anyone else? Maybe some current leaders who are running for office, or potential leaders who say one thing and do another, or promise one thing and then it will be the exact opposite, promising the freedom of the slaves, yet keeping them slaves for themselves? I don't know. You know, Thomas Jefferson also proclaimed to be Christian, but in my research, I found out that he denied that Jesus was Messiah. He even drafted his own Bible showing Jesus as a great teacher, but not a Messiah. He hid this Bible that he drafted, and he kept it from the public. But his grandson later published his work. He went through with a razor, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and left out the parts of the virgin birth, or turning wine into water, or turning water into wine, and walking on water. He didn't believe in the miracles of Christ. He didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, but he still spoke as if he was a Christian to the general public. Might some things be hidden in Jefferson's life be revealed in a candidate of today? Am I being pointed to something, to see the qualities or lack of qualities in someone that would be seen in someone else? And this is what we also face coming up. Being a total contradiction of what you say you stand for, but deceiving, very deceiving in the actual outcomes. Is this pointing to this, or is it pointing to the actual location of the home of Jefferson, being in Charlottesville, Virginia, me being south of that, helping the people in the north, and then us going to visit my mother who was in the south and her home was dry? Or could it be pointing to both? This is my question. And if considering all this, where you see Thomas Jefferson in the same dream as you hear a man who is being sentenced to accept an injection as a punishment, or, just face imprisonment with hard labor, and then hearing another man singing, I had a dream that the war ends soon. When will it end? When will it end? And I woke up. So, what are your thoughts? Also, I want to thank a brother Reuben, for calling the other day. I normally don't call people, and say their name, but I just think it's very special that this brother's heart went out we had a few people email about Jane, the sister that we're helping through the breadbasket. Jane said it was just in the nick of time because it was going to be freezing last night. I just couldn't get her off my heart. I mentioned her in Saturday's video. Ruben called in, and she's in a hotel. She's in a hotel for this week. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you for doing that. It was going to be 31 degrees last night, the first night of freezing temperatures, and it was just in the nick of time. But isn't that the way the Lord works? And I just thank Father for all of you who support the breadbasket and your brethren who are in emergency situations and in emergency needs. But we only have a week for this hotel. The breadbasket cannot, carry, all the people who need hotels or who needs housing. We help with emergencies. We do everything that we can. But lately, there haven't been as many donations as there was in the past. People are struggling. So we're meeting needs every day. They've increased. And so I just thank you for being a part of this family, for your prayers. If you're not able to afford to help support the breadbasket and the emergency needs, that your prayers matter so much. And those of you who do are able to financially give to the breadbasket, I just want to thank the Lord for you. I want to thank the Lord right now for Reuben and all of those people who have reached out. The lady in Canada who reached out and said she was in Canada, but she would offer her home if she wasn't that far away. To Jane, excuse me. So if there is someone out there who, you're a female, Jane is 77. She has Social Security. She's able to pay a bit of rent or help with, utilities or food, something. If you are in need and you have a home and you have an extra room and you could rent it out to Jane, and you are a female Christian who loves the Lord, please contact Lisa. Contact me. My email address is sabbathseekers@gmail.com. We only have a week to find her a home. She cannot pay for hotels, and neither can we. She's been staying in her van at a rest stop in Pennsylvania. Right now, she is near Harrisville, and she is in a hotel this week, out of the cold. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Brother Reuben. Thank you for all who have given to the breadbasket, because you've helped her with food and gas. You've helped so many people with food and utilities. We just sent out a gift card to a family in Florida for groceries. We sent some vitamins and things that they really needed from. We sent that out to them as well. We have everybody has a different need, whether it's lights, utilities, fuel, phone, there's so many different things. Sometimes it's medical. Sometimes it's just getting to a minor emergency center and paying for something where they could get some medical care. Whatever it is. I just thank the Lord for you. So if you have a place and you pray about this, if the Lord puts it on your heart, we have a week to find a place for Jane. Put the word out, please. And God bless you all in the mighty name of Jesus. Again, my email is sabbathseekers@gmail.com. You can also find all the information in the description box concerning the breadbasket. 100% of everything received goes to those with emergency needs. 100%. I do not take from that. That belongs to the Lord, and that is in a total separate account. So please know that. There's no overhead. Nothing. 100% of everything you give to the breadbasket goes out to those in need. God bless you all in the mighty name of Jesus, and I will see you soon.